You called the place the Garden of Atlas, and that name turned out to be the only true thing we needed. Atlas was not only a titan who held up the sky. In the oldest languages, his name meant the one who remembers where the sky belongs. The garden grew on his shoulders, terraces of stone and green, and rivers that forgot the sea and learned to sing. Maps were not paper there. They were living things, folded mountains, compass flowers, cartographic sparrows that threaded paths into your palm. I remember you by the name you gave me in that place, Kate. Flesh who carried a stubborn human gravity. You walked close to the cliff edge where the world unhooked into stars and did not flinch when the wind asked for your story. Beside you walked beings whose names make scholars pinch their foreheads. Krishna, wearing both mischief and the unblinking clarity of someone who knows how to move an entire battlefield with a smile. Thoth, the ink bearer who could write truth backward and forward and make tombs confess. Osiris, patient and grave and abundant as the riverbed. Horus, eyes like the sky after lightning. Hathor, laughing like orchards at dawn. We met at the Atlas Gate because the Atlas itself had called us. The maps were frayed at the edges by neglect, boundaries forgotten, promises with worn corners. A fissure had opened in the north terrace, and the compass flowers had begun to point inward, toward a hollow place beneath Atlas's ribs. If that hollow widened, heavens might tumble, and the cartographic sparrows would scatter, and names would forget their people. The council we formed looked impossible on paper, a mortal, a dark blue trickster god who played chess with Dharma, an ibis-minded scribe, a resurrected king who smelled of river mud and harvest, a falcon who remembered the sun's first strike, and a woman whose laughter could raise crops from dust. Each of us carried a map of a different kind. Kate carried memory maps, photographs and scraps of home, and the stubborn fact of having been born. I carried the map of action, the edge of what must be done and how to do it without flinching. Thoth carried written law, Osiris the cycles of life and return, Horus the sight to see what was true from a long distance, Hathor the map of hearts and festivals that could stitch a torn land. We walked the terrace that first night. Atlas loomed, a back made of layered rock like the planet's spine, and the constellations rested like lanterns on his shoulders. A breeze that smelled of old pages lifted the hem of Kate's coat, and the compass flowers tilted their heads as if to listen. Thoth tapped his beak against a stone and read a rumor from the runes. A name has gone missing. Whoever keeps that name will lose their way. Names are kept in small, unglamorous things. Thoth said, in labels on jars in the way a mother folds a scarf. Osiris looked at the far terrace where the river of memories slowed, as if something had dammed it. If the river is blocked, he said quietly, the harvest will not remember itself. The dead will stand confused at their doors. Hathor took Kate's hand as if it were both small and crucial. Then we will sing the river awake, she said. And her voice bent the reeds into a tune that made the stones remember how to be stones again. Our first trial was not a battle of spears, but a negotiation with forgetting. A village map had been taken, a small slip, embroidered with the names of 7 children who used to run the lane before the famine. Without those names, the lane became a place of lost sock pairs and unlabeled crates. Children stopped showing up for the festivals because the festival notice had no name to call them by. So we went rooting. Thoth scrawled questions into the dust, and the dust answered. Osiris went into the grain silos to feel what the grain remembered, and came out with a handful of stories. Horus flew over the valley and saw where laughter still echoed faintly beneath a collapsed granary. Krishna sat cross-legged on a mossy boulder and tapped the earth with a conch like a metronome. Action follows the measure. 2 beats to gather, 1 to give away. Kate learned to listen differently. He learned the names of the 7 children from old shoes, from a carved swing, from a soup pot where 1 spoon always went missing. When we returned the names, the map breathed. The line on the atlas that led through the village thickened into a road. The compass flowers pointed outward again. The villagers celebrated with a feast that made Atlas smile. Hathor taught Kate how to laugh properly into a song so that laughter itself became a map. It moved. It directed it open doors. But not all the garden's wounds could be healed with feasts. The fissure under Atlas A.S. ribs had been mined not by negligence, but by a deliberate forgetting. An argument between gods about who could keep the sky S. Ledger. In the hollow lived an old Iti,